A few weeks ago, we intercepted the first message. I am an astronomer at the Goldstone Space Communication Complex, essentially a radio telescope, working here for nearly 6 years and finding nothing too exciting. You could only imagine the mayhem which broke loose when something fired back at our deep space messages. When we received the message, I was still busy in my office, busy with my salty salad and a cold latte mojito when Jules, the head of our team as well as my wife, burst through the door, grinning widely like an 8-year old who stole a bar of chocolate. Mike, something happened. Come to the control center now. And with that, she flew out the door again. Speechless, I set down my fork and moved towards the main control center, my pace quickening as my curiosity of Jules is scarcely highlighted. Picking my pace up to a jog, I noticed groups of workers converging the control on the center. As the sliding doors opened, two things hit me hard: the freezing air conditioned wind and the flashing blue screen which illuminated the entire room. With the blast of air came the stench of sweat from the programmers working furiously at their stations, and the screen was the best part. Normally, it was a black screen with some small white dots, a map of the universe. Today, though, there were strange letters popping up all over the main screen. My racing heart pumping, I had no idea what to do. It took me moments for processing the reality together. We found sentient life outside the earth. Jules was striding up the aisle and flicked her wrist over to a group of scientists talking behind a line of decorators. I complied with her implied order and bolted over to my team, casually sliding into the flurry of words. Broken for me paradox, and we can now rewrite Drake's equation. All we have to do is wait for this to finish. As the elated astronomer paused, one of the technicians yelled out, "We got it! We have the message!" He sent the message on the screen and we all fell silent. The random characters on the screen morphed into the word, "We need more." This message was simply repeating itself over and over, unscrambling the language on the screen into 3 words: "We need more." The hell does that mean? Someone shattered the silence, and for the next 4 days, we spent hours on end checking for the translation mistakes, message character interception mistakes, checking for any new messages. Hell, we were taking a shot every possibility we could imagine. It was nearly 1 a.m. on the fourth day since the first message, and most of the crew had either gone home or were asleep in the on-site housing. I was alone in the control center when another message came through. At first, I thought I was crazy. Then I thought the program had translated the message incorrectly. Logically, I was going to call up to the team, but when the message altered itself, I froze. From "Help us, we need more, please," the message changed into "Let us in, Mike. Let us in." My heart caught into my throat, and as the surge of adrenaline hit me, I dashed for the mainframe, ripping out the power plugs. It was from then on my life has changed. Trembling in the darkness for what felt like a full few minutes, my vulnerability was quickly replaced by embarrassment. If someone walked in on me, I would look like a total bloody idiot, and with that thought, I quickly shoved the plugs back in. A low hum ran out as the computer system spun back to life. A few minutes later, the messages reappeared as "We need more." I let out a heavy sigh. I was probably far too tired to be working at this time. Stretching back, I made my way out the door towards the car park. Jules was probably already home. I couldn't believe what she would be able to stay up working so late. I live about 40 minutes drive away from the radio sites, and at this time of night I was quite lucky that the road was entirely deserted, have for a few late night travelers and the occasional police vehicle. I was about 10 minutes out from my house when I saw something in my mirror. I slammed the brakes, letting the seatbelt catch my body before I flew against the steering wheel. Leaping out of the car, I spun around to the back seat, reaching into my pocket for my flip knife. As I yanked open the door, I realized the car was empty, but I could have sworn I saw someone clad in the black dark behind my seat when I looked into my rear mirror. Somewhat shaken, I clambered back into the driver's seat and sat there for a few minutes to collect myself. When I finally reached my home, I headed straight for a shower. Past the bedroom, peeking in, I saw Jules sleeping in the darkness, her phone set next to her. Entering the shower, I slapped on the shower knobs, letting the warm water flood over my eyes, down my chin, and feeling the splashes pool at my feet. The only thing on my mind was my work, and to be honest, it had been the only thing on my mind for the past few days. As I considered sending out another message with my team, I suddenly realized the water was going cold. Frustrated by the interruption, I turned off the cold tap, but the water stayed cold. Stepping aside for the stream of water, my frustration turned into puzzlement as I proceeded to turn off the water entirely. But when I grabbed metal hot tap, a chill hovered straight through my chest. The metal which was doused in a stream of steaming water moments ago had turned ice cold within a few seconds of exposure to the cold water. It was then that I felt something watching me. I spun around multiple times and saw absolutely nothing but myself. Severely, I freaked out. I dried myself out and snatched a set of clothes closest to me and checked that our bedroom was empty. Sitting down on my side of the bed, I suddenly realized the coldness had spread straight into our room. As my brain tried to piece together the strange occurrences, my wife's phone rang. She stood next to me but said nothing. "Hello, this is Mike from the Goldstone Radio Operations. How may..." I was cut short by the caller, who was absolutely furious. "What the hell, Mike? Why did you leave me behind? How tired do you possibly be to leave me at work with no goddamn way of getting home? I swear." My blood ran cold as I realized the caller was Jules. Dropping the phone onto the bed, I leaped off the bed. spinning around, but there was no need to grab a weapon because the bed was empty. Scrambling for the phone, I was shaking so hard that I was struggling to hold the phone steady. Hello, Mike? Jules. I'm so sorry, but I have no time to explain. I have to call the cops. Someone is in the bed, and I thought it was you. Ah, there were should be $50 in my second or third drawer in my office. Just grab it and take a taxi home or something. I'm so sorry, honey. I love you. And without waiting for a reply, I disconnected the call. With trembling fingers, I dialed 911. By the time Jules got home, a patrol car had shown up and two officers had already searched the building twice. She rushed through the front door into the bedroom, demanding to know what the hell just happened. The officers reassured us that the house and the neighbor's house were all safe, that there had been no signs of forced entry. Nonetheless, I knew I was not crazy. So when I insisted on the presence of something, the officers decided to spend the night outside the house in the patrol car. As restless as we were, Jules and I decided to get as much sleep as we could for work tomorrow. It must have been about 6 a.m. when I woke to a shrill screech. Jules has also woken, looking disorientated and completely confused. As I got up, I brushed Jules' phone onto the ground, and as it clattered loudly on the floor, the sound abruptly stopped. Swooping over to pick up the phone, I cautiously peeked into the empty hallway, with Jules following behind me. I walked into the bathroom to find all the glass shattered or scratched wildly. Something was wrong. I backed out and bolted into the living room to find every glass object shredded. I dashed outside, ignoring the freezing wind tearing at my bare calves, and immediately saw the grass from my neighbor's windows shattered. I looked around and spotted the police car parked further down the road, jogging towards it. I realized there was glass everywhere. It was on the road, on the side paths, and in the bushes on the other side of the road. To my dismay, the windscreen of the patrol car has disintegrated. The two officers were both slumped over the dashboard, gently brushing off shards of glasses off their backs. I laid them both back in their seats and instinctively checked for a pulse. If only I had looked at their faces, I would have realized they were already dead. Stepping back, I suddenly saw the blood oozing down their face. It took me a second to register, but on their faces were letters carved through their skin. They read, "Thanks, Mike, but we still need more."